With 4 months into 2025, we have already gotten some great games, like Civilization 7, AI Limit, Monster Hunter Wilds, and Assassin's Creed Shadows. All of which are great games, by the way. And I'm not lying when I say that this year might be one of the best years in gaming industry. With the upcoming releases of Ghost of Yotei, Stellar Blade for PC, Death Stranding 2, and the elephant in the room, Grand Theft Auto 6. Needless to say that there won't be any lack of interest in gaming this year, and there are a ton of stuff to be excited about. That being said, I've had a good time vibing with Assassin's Creed and PUBG, just chilling, but there has been one dude constantly nagging to my ear. A friend of mine who has been yelling me to play this game he likes for non-stop 24/7. I've heard stuff like, when are you gonna play KHAZAN? Or good video, but KHAZAN would be better, and I swear to God, if you won't play KHAZAN, I'll kick your ass. Okay, I got it. I got the concept. I'll guess I'll try this KHAZAN game of yours. It's probably just some lazy Souls copy again. Well, anyways, let's see what kind of game it is. Well, he wasn't lying. This game is phenomenal. I didn't think we'd get another extremely great Souls-like game right after AI Limit, but here it is. Personally, I rank this way higher than AI Limit, and don't get me wrong, it was an amazing game, but this one is something else. KHAZAN easily pulls its own weight in its story, gameplay, art style, enemies, difficulty, and bosses. This game is one of the hardest video games I have ever played. The story is enjoyable, the gameplay is incredible, the art style is phenomenal, and the bosses are perfect. Rarely we get a game like this, where everything in it, all of its quirks and what it wants to be, is ironed out so well, it's instantly clear that the devs care about what they do and clearly love making games. It's almost crazy how good this game is. It's like...
It was perfect. Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
So, let's dive in to the story, gameplay, art style, and difficulty to find out what makes the First Berserker KHAZAN a masterpiece.
We must find one strong enough to accomplish Charon's command. You are the one we were waiting for among us.
Alright, let's talk about the story of the First Berserker KHAZAN. And yeah, it's not just a Souls-like with a lore in item descriptions kind of deal. This one actually tells you a story clearly, directly, and surprisingly well. At its core, KHAZAN is a revenge story, but not just any revenge story. It's one soaked in blood, betrayal, and that really satisfying kind of I'm coming back, but stronger, and you're all gonna regret this energy. Think Gladiator meets Berserk, and then cranks it up to 11. You play as KHAZAN, the titular First Berserker. Once a legendary warrior, a hero even, who stood at the very top of the Empire's hierarchy, until, plot twist, he gets framed, betrayed, and tossed aside like garbage. Stripped of his status, chained up like an animal, and left to rot. And what does Kazan do? He survives, he endures, and eventually he claws his way back with one thing on his mind: vengeance. The story kicks off when Kazan escapes captivity and begins his long, brutal journey back through the empire that once worshipped him. Every place you go drips with history-ruined temples, desecrated shrines, and battlegrounds from wars long past. And with each step forward, more and more of his past and the Empire's dark secrets starts to unravel. The game doesn't force-feed you hours of cutscenes, but it's not cryptic either. There are cinematic moments and they hit hard when they show up. Especially because of the voice acting and writing are actually good, like shockingly good.
Not necessary, General. It's been my dream to fight side by side with the great General Kazan.
Kazan himself has this stoic, rage-boiled charisma. He doesn't speak much, but when he does, it lands. And then there's the world itself, which tells just as much of the story as the dialogue. You're constantly seeing the fallout of the Empire's greed, the scars of war, and the aftermath of Kazan's fall from grace. NPCs react to you with fear, disgust, reverence, or pity, depending on who they are and what they remember about you. There's also this recurring theme of corruption. Not just political corruption, like literal soul-twisting, flesh-mutating corruption that's infected both people and the land. And Kazan, he's not immune to it. There's this underlying tension throughout the game. How far can you go for revenge before you lose yourself completely? It makes the whole experience feel personal. You're not just saving the world, you're not the chosen one. You're just a man trying to reclaim what was stolen from him, and along the way you have to decide whether you're still the man you used to be, or if that man died a long time ago. So yeah, on the surface it's a gritty revenge tale, but under that there's grief, regret, identity, power, and whether a man can stay human when all he has left is hate. It's a gripping, heavy, and honestly way more emotionally layered than I expected going in. The First Berserker KHAZAN doesn't just want you to swing a sword, it wants you to feel something while you do it, and that's rare. Now, let's talk about the gameplay, because KHAZAN doesn't just look brutal, it plays brutal. And I do mean that in the best possible way. Right from the start, this game makes it crystal clear. You are not a god, you are not invincible, you are KHAZAN, a beast of a man with raw power, but you still bleed, you still stagger, and if you get cocky, you will be humbled fast. Combat is all about precision, timing, and that beautiful dance between rage and restraint. You've got heavy weapons, huge swings, and a lot of impact behind every attack. But here's the thing, it's not just a button smash. This is deliberate combat. Every swing takes stamina, every dodge is a commitment, and every fight feels earned. And the enemies? They do not care about your feelings. There's this perfect balance where even basic mobs can mess you up if you're not paying attention. They dodge, flank, parry, actually use tactics, and once you got to the mini-bosses or elite enemies, they'll test your timing, spacing, and patience like your life depends on it. Because, well, it does. What makes the gameplay stand out though is how it evolves as you go. KHAZAN starts off as a raw, brutal fighter, basically pure muscle and pain. But as you progress, you unlock new techniques, abilities, and weapon arts that can change how you approach the combat. There's this Berserker mechanic that builds up as you fight, like a rage meter, that once unleashed turns KHAZAN into an absolute monster. Time slows down, damage spikes up, and your attacks feel godlike. But, and here's the kicker, It's not just a free win button. Going berserk leaves you open afterward, and if you misuse it, you're gonna regret it. It's a high risk, high reward system that fits the character and the story perfectly. There's also customization, not in the dress up like a unicorn kind of way, but in the terms of your build, stats, skills, and gear. You can lean into heavy tank play, fast bruiser, stagger builds, or whatever fits your vibe. And trust me, you'll want to experiment, because KHAZAN rewards mastery. The more you understand its systems, the more the game opens up to you. Oh, and speaking of gear, weapons in these games are a chef's kiss. They don't just look cool, they feel cool. You've got great swords, dual wields, spears, and each one has its own unique moveset and weight. Landing a fully charged strike with a giant sword and watching the enemy get obliterated absolutely never gets old. Boss fights, don't worry, we'll talk about those more later on, but they are the ultimate gameplay tests. Everything you've learned is thrown at you in a violent, cinematic, adrenaline-filled showdown. And if you go unprepared, you will get folded. But here's what I love most. There's no artificial padding, no forced grinding, no 50 fetch quests. It's all meat, no filler. Just you, your weapon, and whatever poor soul decided to stand in your way. The gameplay in KHAZAN feels like it was made by people who understand action games. It's tight, responsive, challenging, and satisfying as hell. Every fight is a story. Every victory feels like a triumph. You don't just play this game, you endure it. And when you come out to the other side, sweaty hands, adrenaline still pumping, you'll be glad you did. Okay, let's take a minute to appreciate just how damn beautiful the First Berserker KHAZAN is. And I don't mean, ooh, shiny graphics, beautiful. I'm talking vibes, mood, visual storytelling. The art style in this game is grimy, gothic, and absolutely drenched in atmosphere. It's the kind of world that doesn't need to say anything to you. You just look around and you instantly feel the weight of it. There's blood in the soil, history in the stones, and red in the fog. Visually, it's got this dark fantasy meets post-apocalyptic empire look. Imagine if Berserk, Dark Souls, and Blade Runner had a nightmare together. That's KHAZAN. You'll walk through ruins, then turn the corner into industrial slaughter pits lit by hellish torches. 1 second you're in a beautiful old cathedral, and the next you're knee-deep in a swamp full of decayed spiders and whispering spirits. It's haunting, but you can't look away. There's this masterful use of contrast in the environments. Massive open wastelands that make you feel like a tiny ant, then suddenly claustrophobic corridors where every shadow feels alive. Light and darkness actually means something in this game. Bright areas usually feel sterile, corrupted, wrong, while darkness feels great, grounded, like home in a weird way. And then there's the enemy design, which, good god, these aren't just monsters or guys with swords, they are abominations. Twisted knights, rotten priests, creatures that look like they were sculpted out of grief and nightmares. They all look wrong in a way that feels intentional, and you immediately know you're not fighting just another mid-boss. You're fighting someone whose very existence is a reminder that this world is broken. And KHAZAN himself? He looks like he walked straight out of the final panel of a dark fantasy manga. Those iconic armors, the giant weapons strapped to his back, the aura of quiet rage, it's all designed to make you feel like this isn't just some guy on a quest. This is a force of nature. Even just standing still, he radiates menace. It's metal as hell. The UI is also clean and minimal. No clutter, no weird overlays. It doesn't pull you out of the experience. It lets the art shine. And the color palette? Muted, dirty, harsh, until suddenly a crimson sky breaks open or glowing demonic entity lights up the scene like a death metal album cover. These moments pop so hard because the game earns them. It knows when to go big and when to pull back. Honestly, what makes the art style so special is that it's not just there to look good. It tells the story, it supports the gameplay, and it builds this unforgettable world that stays in your head long after you put the controller down. It's not pretty in a traditional sense. It's ugly beautiful. Painful, raw, real. The kind of beauty you earn by surviving hell. Alright, now let's talk about difficulty. Because if KHAZAN hasn't broken you yet, well, congrats, you either got some nerves of steel or you're just straight up lying. This game, it's brutal, and I'm not just talking about challenging in a fun way brutal. I mean, grind your soul into the pavement kind of brutal. But here's the twist. It's fair. It's not cheap, it's not janky, and it doesn't throw in random garbage just to screw with you. When you die, and you will, you'll know exactly why. You dodged too late, you got greedy, you didn't learn the pattern, you panicked, and yeah, sometimes it hurts. But every death is a lesson, and every lesson gets you one step closer to that sweet, sweet victory screen. And let's talk about bosses, because oh boy, the bosses in KHAZAN are in a league of their own. They're not just obstacles, they're characters. Each one has a name, backstory, a visual identity that sticks in your brain, and most importantly, a unique combat rhythm that forces you to adapt. You're not just walking into a boss arena to fight some blob with a health bar. You're stepping into a duel, a trial, a violent, operatic showdown where everything you've learned up to that point gets stress tested under fire. Some bosses are fast and aggressive, barely giving you room to breathe, while others are slow, methodical, and terrifyingly precise. And then there are the multi-phase nightmares that go, oh, you beat phase 1? That's cute, now fight me again, but I'm on fire and 10 times angrier. And just when you think you've seen it all, boom, here comes a boss that completely changes the rules. Maybe you have to counter a specific attack, or manage an arena hazard, or fight while infected by some kind of corruption debuff that limits your movement. Every single fight keeps you on edge. But here's the beauty of it. Once you finally beat them, it feels godlike. Not just, yay, I did it, but the primal, yes, let's go kind of feeling. You sit there, drenched in virtual blood, hands shaking, heart pounding, and for a second you feel like you've actually conquered a mountain. And that's what KHAZAN does so well. It punishes you, yes, but it also rewards you. With growth, with pride, and with this deep-rooted sense that you've earned every inch of progress. The game never holds your hand. There are no shortcuts, no easy mode, but it gives you everything you need to succeed, if you are willing to learn, adapt, and suffer a little along the way. And let's not forget, the difficulty fits the story. KHAZAN isn't some invincible hero. He's broken, betrayed, crawling his way back up through sheer will and rage. The game makes you feel that journey. It puts the same weight on your shoulders. So yeah, the First Berserker KHAZAN is one of the hardest games I've ever played. But it's also one of the most rewarding. Every wound, every retry, every boss you finally bring down, it all builds into this unforgettable experience. You don't just beat this game, you survive it. And when the dust settles and KHAZAN stands victorious, you feel like you earned every drop of that blood. If it isn't clear to you yet, this game is incredibly good, and I cannot recommend it enough. I am so grateful to my friend who wouldn't stop bugging me about this, because at the end of the day, he was absolutely right about this game. Incredible, astonishing, magnificent, perfect. The First Berserker KHAZAN is a perfect game which you definitely should play, period. As always, thank you for watching, consider subscribing and leaving a comment, and I will see you in the next one.